boys and girls. My name is Miss Reese and I work for Idaho National Laboratory, and I am also a first grade teacher. Today I have a STEM story read aloud for you, and the book that I have selected for you today is Rosie, Revere, Engineer, written by Andrea Beatty and illustrated by David Roberts. Now, as I read the title to you again, I want to see if you can notice something for me. Are you ready? Rosie, Revere, Engineer. What do you notice? You may have noticed that the title has rhyming words in it. There are many rhyming words in this story, which is what makes it so much fun. And I'm really excited to read it to you today. Are you ready to get started? Let's go ahead and start the story. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. Which one of those students do you think is too shy to speak? Maybe this student right here is Rosie. She looks a little shy. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Go ahead and roll up your sleeves like Rosie is doing when she builds her inventions. And then I have a quick question for you. Rosie here has a secret hideaway that she builds all of her projects in. Do any of you have a secret project building stash at home? Ooh, if not, that could be a fun thing to do. Try to find a really cool engineer spot in your home to design projects. Alone in the attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed, where they'd never be seen. Looks like she hid all of her projects so they would be a big secret. Look at all these cool gadgets and gizmos. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, and a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. Look at those funny helium pants. How fun. The uncle she loved most was zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head from parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. Get her clever little invention there. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed until he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. "I love it," Fred hooted. "Oh, I truly do." But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day, she kept her dreams to herself. Poor Rosie. Do you think when scientists and engineers and architects build their creations for the first time that they always turn out? Probably not. It takes a few attempts and a few tries, right? Let's see if Rosie tries again. And that's how it went until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who'd worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. "The only thing left on my list is to fly, but time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll check that one up to an old lady's dreams." So there you can see Rosie's great-great-aunt Rose working on the airplanes. That night, as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky, some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. You can see her in bed, thinking of a plan. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. This is a really important part in this story because anytime a scientist or an engineer or an architect or even a teacher like me comes up with an idea, we have to test it, right? To see if it'll work, or that it might fail and just needs some more added improvements. So do you think that Rosie Revere Engineer's first attempt with her cheese copter is going to turn out perfect, or do you think she's going to have to tweak her idea a little bit? Okay, we're gonna find out soon, but first I have a fun, quick STEM challenge for you. Are you ready? In a little bit, you're going to pause our STEM story read aloud and you are going to go on a little scavenger hunt. So wherever you're watching this, it might be in the car, which might be a little harder, or it might be in your home. But either way, you're going to pause this and you're going to go find some things for me. Are you ready? Okay. Like Rosie, she is collecting a bunch of different materials to make her aunt a machine to help her fly. I want you to look around in your house to see if you can find any materials that you think would be perfect for Rosie Revere Engineer's cheese copter. Ready, set, go. What are some of the materials that you found? Oh, it looks like some of you found a lot. Okay, let's take a look to see if any of the materials you found were the same materials that Rosie Revere Engineer used. Let's see. Oh my, let's take a look at that picture. Looks like there's a broom, a fishing pole, fishing line, some tape, maybe some rubber bands, a tennis ball, a baby doll's head as the steering wheel. It looks like some streamers, some hula hoops. She gathered lots of materials. Did any of you have any of these? I hope so. Okay, let's continue our story. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The Helio cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin or build with a lever, a switch or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer." Poor little Rosie, she seems a little defeated. And there's her great-great-aunt Rose giggling in the back. She turned round to leave, but then great-great-aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt, "it crashed, that is true. But first, it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew." How sweet of her great-great-aunt. She made a really great point. I love this line. I'm going to reread it to you. You did it, hooray! It's the perfect first try. You are going to try many, many times before your invention or creation turns out perfect or just right. And her great-great-aunt Rose knew just that tip to give Rosie. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy, and on to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. Never ever quit. Always keep trying and keep that grit. And if you notice Rosie Revere here, she has her notebook that her great-great-aunt Rose gave her. Do any of you have an engineer notebook at home? If not, it would be really fun to find one or to create one and to start some ideas in there. You can sketch them out and draw pictures and then try creating them yourself with materials around the house. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. Look at that fantastic teamwork. Maybe you have somebody at home, a sibling or a friend or a pet that can help you on your engineer projects. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 build gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. So Rosie Revere is in 2nd grade. You can see some of the creations and inventions that her other colleagues have created. And that is the end of our story. So here is a really fun idea. You do not have to be at school right now to build projects and come up with some really interesting designs. In fact, you can work on that this summer or any time that you'd like. Go ahead and search around your house for materials, maybe toilet paper rolls or milk jugs, any really recycled materials you can use to create really cool inventions, or even building tools like Legos or blocks. And to go with this story, I have a really fun STEM challenge for you. So stay tuned for that STEM challenge. We will do that together in a little bit. I wanted to explain what an engineer does, and I also wanted to bring out the STEM Help Wanted book. This is an awesome book. It's full of really great facts and information about Idaho National Laboratory's careers. So when you're thinking about, what do I want to be when I grow up? Or if you're thinking about, oh, I love using my hands and the critical thinking process and really working on projects and making things and building things. So perhaps you could take those skills later in life and be an engineer. And we will need many more engineers in our future, and you are our future. So I'm going to share with you some of the engineer positions at Idaho National Laboratory. These books we pass out for free during Idaho National Laboratory outreach events and programs, so perhaps you already have one at home that you could get out and look with your family. But we have electrical engineers. It tells you how much this career makes. It discusses the job for you. We also have mechanical engineers. We have nuclear engineers. And we have power engineers. There are many different types of engineering jobs, and I'm sure there's more. I just selected these few to share with you. I'm going to read a little bit about the nuclear engineer. A nuclear engineer applies the principles of nuclear physics to design, construct, and operate systems such as nuclear power plants that involve radiation and nuclear reactions. This career would be a good fit for you if you have a strong foundation in math, science, and physics, so if you like math and science, are interested in energy and alternative energy, are creative problem solver. I'm a teacher, I know lots of you are creative problem solvers, and want to lead research in the field. So you can see that awesome picture there of some nuclear engineers at Idaho National Laboratory. I selected this one because I find these jobs fascinating when I had a tour of the lab, and I think you would too. So if you are interested in a STEM Help Wanted guide, you can contact us. We also have a website. You can see that right there. So feel free to look up more STEM careers, and there's also some really great free lessons there for you that you can check out to do at home as well. Before we head to our STEM challenge from our STEM Story Read Aloud, Rosie, Revere, Engineer, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the story and about how it relates to Idaho National Laboratory. So in Rosie, Revere, Engineer, Rosie loves critical thinking, she likes problem solving, she loves using her hands and her creativity, and she designs many different inventions, and she uses the engineer design process along the way, and she's not afraid to improve her designs. Now, if you're like Rosie and you love problem solving, you like math and science, you're very creative, you like using your hands, and you have really great grit, those are all awesome and necessary skills to becoming an engineer. And that's a career that you might want to consider becoming in your future. At Idaho National Laboratory, we have several different types of engineers, and they are all very vital and important to Idaho National Laboratory. You can become an electrical engineer or a mechanical engineer. There's even nuclear engineers. So keep those careers in the back of your head for in the future, and you can always keep taking those math and science classes and keep working the brain and using critical thinking. And as a teacher, I just wanted to also recommend that the story Rosie, Revere, Engineer also has a partnering workbook, and it's called Rosie Revere's Big Project Book for Bold Engineers. This is a really awesome activity book that I think is great for all ages and grade levels. There's a lot of critical thinking questions in here, as well as problems to solve. There's some really great engineer projects in here, as well as extensions. It talks about real world problems. It uses the engineer design process. And this is a really great workbook to have at home, so then your children can stay safe and they can learn and have a really fun time. So the Rosie Revere Engineer and the Rosie Revere Big Project Book for Bold Engineers are a great duo, and I hope that you enjoyed the story, and I think you're really gonna like the STEM challenge after this. Thank you so much. Hello boys and girls, this is Miss Reese. I had mentioned after our STEM story read aloud called Rosie Revere Engineer that I would have a STEM challenge for you afterwards. Your STEM challenge today is to solve this problem for me. My pet Oscar here, look at his cute little INL bandana, he loves to eat, and he loves to eat dog food and dog treats. But it's not really healthy for him when his food is directly on the ground, like this. It's not healthy for his little digestive system, is it, buddy? So I need you to help me solve that problem. I need you to help me build a dog food stand that would allow Oscar's dog food bowl to stand up properly, so it would be better for his digestive system. Now, if you have a dog or a cat at home, you can definitely use them to help solve this problem as well. Or if you do not have a pet, you could try using a stuffed animal. So you can use different materials. These are just some ideas. You could use magnet tiles. Magnet tiles are really fun because they're building blocks with magnets in them. And they're in a bunch of different shapes and colors, so you can build many cool 3D structures. Or you can use Legos. Legos are sturdy, you can build really tall structures with them, and you can even make some pretty cool patterns. Now, if you don't have building blocks or magnet tiles or Legos, do not fret. You could use recycled products like paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls. I feel like we've been using a lot of these lately. Clorox or Lysol white containers. Or you could even use food, like little kiwis, maybe for mobility purposes. These are just some ideas though. And maybe you have a notebook like Rosie, Revere, Engineer did that you could sketch out your ideas and materials that you think you would like to use for your project before gathering all the materials and building your prototype. Now, when you go to build your prototype, remember, just like in our story, Rosie, Revere, Engineer, your prototype may not turn out the first time, and that is okay. Keep your grit and do not quit. So I have a little rough idea here of what I'm talking about to show you. I used Magnetiles and some Legos for stability to see if it would prop Oscar's food bowl up just a little bit more. So instead of it just lying on the ground like that, it could be propped up. Now we're going to test this prototype. Oscar, come in, you want a treat? Come on, baby. Oh, come on. Let's see. So he can eat out of it, which is good, right? That's a good first step. But it probably could be a little bit taller to help his little digestive system here. I'm really excited to see what you come up with and what you can create. Please feel free to submit photos and videos of your prototype to us, so the next STEM Story Read Aloud, I can share those with everybody watching. Thank you so much,